meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
All right, so we got a special guest here today for you. We've been working on this for a while. We've done stuff before where I've been on the show when he was doing the Fox. When he was doing on Fox all the time, you'd see his face. And eventually, we were able to get him to drive down here with the permission of his wife because he had to get approvals. You see, when you have to make decisions like this, there's like layers to approval, but he got it, and we're glad he's here with us. Dan Bongino, former New York City Police Department and Secret Service agent under Bush and Obama. And he's got a killer podcast called The Dan Bongino Show, weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Rumble. You can go to rumble.com/Bongino to find him. Dan, it's great to have you on.
Man, finally, we made it happen, brother.
Yeah, we're doing it, huh?
I saw you in the green room, UFC. I'm like, bro,
yes,
this is going to go down.
Well, I almost didn't recognize
this no matter
you.
what. I didn't realize you were so damn big.
Yeah.
Everybody asked me, you a big guy or a small guy? I was hoping you were a little smaller. You're bigger than me. I'm like, damn. I like to be the biggest. I'm like an alpha. I'm a little upset about that, you know?
Well, no, when I saw you at UFC, I'm like, holy shit, this guy looks good. You know, your body, all of it, you're looking really good. And we were talking about some of the stuff.
My wife let me come down. You know,
that's exactly it.
You got a two-way
You've
street.
earned it.
I do, so she does.
Yeah.
She does, you know,
respect.
Let me come down. You know?
Respect. Well, listen, we got a lot of things to go through. We got a lot of stories to go through. The one thing is, anytime somebody comes on, Dan, we like to give them value because I think that's the least we can do. And there's this guy who lives off the street. What's the street's name? Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania Avenue.
He's given marital advice on when you're getting married, why there's a benefit to marrying a girl with 5 sisters. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
I saw.
We always want to give a counsel to everybody. I think it's always good when you're getting it from a president. There's some things with Alejandro Mayorkas, who's telling Neil Cavuto that they've followed everything to the T. They've not broken the law. Yeah. They're doing everything the right way. We want to get your feedback on that. Trump's new video that comes out. There's a word, blurry, that AI puts in it, unified right, that the left has gone crazy over. We'll respond to that. Biden had a few things to say about it. Joy Reid had a lot of things to say about it. And then you had Joe Biden, him saying, this is not a mistake, guys. This is what he said. Him saying that we should elect, he cannot win the re-election and that we must elect Donald Trump. That's what Joe Biden. Can you imagine that? Joe
Biden. I can absolutely. Yeah. I'd be actually disappointed if he said the opposite. Yeah. Because he always screws shit up.
RFK said he's given $5 billion. He's up for giving $5 billion in reparations to black farmers. I want to get your thoughts on that. Yeah. Christopher Waller, Federal Reserve governor, says rate cuts will have to wait. Tom this morning told us that Solomon came out talking about 2024. There may be 0 rate cuts, and a lot of people are going a little bit bonkers over that. Cameron, the rapper, goes on CNN. The girl asks him, host asks him about Diddy, and that reaction is uncomfortable, to say the least. Bill Maher was on The View, chewing out Sonny. They're going back and forth on the woke culture. We'll look at that. Nikki Haley comes out saying she's endorsing Trump and she'll vote for Trump, which was kind of wild to see. Harrison Butker, we haven't reacted to that video yet. Maybe we'll play the clip. Both Andy Reid and Mahomes said something about it, which was great to see. Netanyahu's got a few things he's dealing with. The ICC wanted to arrest him for Israelis' response to the October 7th attack. Then Michelle Beadle said some stuff about Butker. Angela Davis, who's always been about reparations, she reacts to the person, Vinny showed us this thing here, discussing that her family owned slaves, and her level of disappointment that her own family owned slaves is, it's entertaining to watch, to say the least. Anyways, gang, before we get into the stories, tomorrow I will be announcing a few things to everybody in regards to our merch for Memorial Day weekend. One of them is going to be a numbered hat that a lot of people have been asking about, a special hat that's come. Last time we did a numbered hat, we sold it for $99. It sold within 30 minutes, and now some of these hats are selling on eBay for $400 or $500. One of them was selling for $800 because they're numbered. We'll release our second numbered hats tomorrow. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, I believe, Rob, if I'm not mistaken, we have Brian Callen on. On that podcast tomorrow, we'll announce all our announcements with the merch, so stay tuned for it tomorrow. Having said that, let's get right into it. Dan, thoughts on what's going on today with President Trump, Biden, all the mess. What's your thoughts with what's going on today?
Well, listen, having run for office myself and getting smoked in a couple and then having one that was close, like I think you learn more. I mean, this isn't like we're not doing entrepreneur hour, although you would be perfect. Wouldn't you agree? Like you kind of learn more in life by losing than winning. Like because sometimes you win, but you win for the wrong reasons. Like it was luck or so. Losing in politics taught me a lot. Like where did I go wrong? Should we have knocked on more doors? But I learned very simple lessons, and one of them, if you had to summarize campaigns, which we're going through right now, is that campaigns are really two things: triaging, the most important two things. And if you don't know this, get the hell out of politics. You're wasting everybody's freaking time. There are snapshots and sound bites. In other words, it's pictures, how you look, quick little things people ingest, and it's sound bites. Nobody's reading your white paper, bro. Remember Mitt Romney? I've got a white paper out there. Listen, I love tax policy. You want to talk about interest rates? I love it. Yeah. Economics is my passion. I'll talk about it all day. The hard reality is people are working for a living, brother. Yeah. You got cab drivers, architects, pilots. They're not sitting here reading your 51-page tax plan. It's a freaking soundbite. And this is why Biden, at this point, I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I hate red wave talk, but I see this guy having very little chance. The snapshots are terrible. Listen, let's be honest, man. He just looks old. Trump doesn't look old. Trump is old. He doesn't look old. The snapshots are terrible. But the sound bites, bro, are even worse. The guy's talking about erectionists. What is he doing? A fucking Viagra ad? The erection? What is that? People were like, does he mean insurrectionist? Like, and then you're talking
Maybe
about
that's what he's thinking about.
Yeah. He could.
Like,
I
I remember back in the days when I used to.
With this lunatic, but the snapshots and the sound bites are really terrible. And when you realize that most of America's busy doing their thing, and they're just seeing that stuff, nothing's working for them. That's the difference with Obama. For as much as I couldn't stand Obama, the guy gave good speech. It was all bullshit, but the guy gave good speeches, and he looked up. He'd go out there and he would look. Biden can't do any of that. He can't rescue himself. Clinton was the same way. He knew how to look presidential, even when he was doing his thing in the Oval Office. Yeah. Biden don't have that.
When you were Secret Service for Bush and Obama, did you spend any time with Obama or no?
A lot. Yeah, I did 3 years with more time with Bush, but I did 3 years with Bush, 2 years with Obama. And I saw it. I'm always honest with people. I said Obama and Clinton. Clinton was better because I spent a little time with Clinton. I was not on the detail, but you're a post-stander enough that you kind of get to see him. And so I spent about a year bouncing around the Clinton team with Hillary and him. And Clinton had it better than Obama. But Obama had this way, and I think it's why he won, despite the dreadful economy, Obamacare. He'd go in a room, and you're an experienced guy. You've been with business people and titans. They have an air about them. It's the French call it je ne sais quoi. You know what it is, but when they walk in a room, even if nobody knows him, they go, that dude's a millionaire. Yeah. Even Obama, he had that way in politics. Like people would walk in and he would undress a Democrat right in front of you, no problem. Like if you got up in his grill, like he'd fillet you in a second. And it kind of let everybody know I'm the alpha. Biden had none of that. None of that. And I got to tell you, I'm not a Bush fan either. I'm more of a conservative libertarian than he was. But Bush didn't really have that so much either. He walked in a room and it was almost like a weak, overcompensating personality. But, Biden has none of that. He's the most weak, like, narcissistic, sociopathic guy, the lying, all the bullshit all the time.
But how brilliant. I mean, he's doing, for the left, fantastic job, Dan. Whatever they want, he has done to a T. But look at how they protect him and they guide him and they, all those bites that you're talking about. The CNN, they're barely playing those moments. I haven't seen them. We have to find them on X. We have to hear them from you. Pat has to show it here for us to find those really bad mess ups. But other than that, bro, they're just dragging this corpse.
The problem. I agree, but I disagree a little bit. It's not that he hasn't been good to the left. He's been good to the far left. You're 100% correct. The 25, 30% of the American electorate max that say far left, monetary theorists, all these lunatics with the economy, Obamacare, government-run healthcare, they love him because you're correct. He is a vessel. He's a useful idiot. I always say about Biden, and you should never forget this, ever. Biden is the president Obama wanted to be, but was too politically smart to become. It's why Obama left office with 55% approval, and Biden's going to leave office with 30%. Because Obama knew, all right, these radical lefties, I may say I'm one of them, but that's some dumb shit. And he would stop short of absolutely crazy. He would do crazy. But now, Biden don't care. Yeah. Biden's like, the border, F it, open it up. Yeah. He's like, a price rationing and Medicare, let's do it. He doesn't care. because he's not politically savvy enough to look at his far left and go, that's a pretty dumb idea. And that's why we're in the pickle with this guy now. And that's why I'm so worried if he wins, man, we're not going to survive another 4 years of this guy.
Well, there's a lot of people that would say that Biden is the president that Obama wanted to be because Biden is in the shadow, that Obama is in the shadows, propagating a lot of his programs and his thoughts.
Yeah, but you remember, think about what I just said. Biden is the president Obama wanted to be, but was too politically smart to become. Obama had a bad border situation, there's no doubt. But Obama's border situation on strict spreadsheet numbers, it's not a matter of opinion, was not nearly as catastrophic as Biden. Obama could have done the same thing and said, open it up, which is effectively what Biden did. And he stopped short of it. You look at actually deportations at the border, the Obama team was not nearly as terrible as Biden. Another thing is the spending. Just look at the spending. Obama, when we ran a $1 trillion deficit under the porculus Obama spending thing, guys like you and me were like, this is insane. I would kill to get back to $1 trillion now. Biden put that in the Inflation Production Act himself. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, Obama understood the political limitations of the left stupidity. Biden loves to be celebrated. He's morally weak, and he knows the only people who like him are the far left. So you're right. He does whatever the hell they want, and that's why he's at 38% approval.
Well, you hear the saying, it's the economy, stupid, right? We've heard that how many years? Is it Carville that said it the first time? Right.
Yep.
So, okay, so we look at the economy, and, they desperately need a couple rate cuts before the election. They need it because that's not going to be good. If they don't get it in September, this election could be done just because the rates don't go down in the month of September and nothing happens till maybe in November, which is after the election, right? So if you look at right now, Fed's Waller says rate cuts will have to wait until several more months of good inflation data. Okay, so this report comes in yesterday. In the balance of a significant weakening in the labor market, I need to see several more months of good inflation data before I would be comfortable supporting an easing in the stance of monetary policy, Waller said in a speech. Waller said in the April Consumer Price Index data, which showed a slight cooling off inflation, was a welcome relief and a sign that inflation is not accelerating. As a result, the Fed probably will not need to raise rates. Central bankers should never say never, but the data suggests that inflation isn't accelerating, and I believe the further increases in the policy rate are probably unnecessary. And Tom, you read something this morning from Solomon talking about rate cuts, because that's Goldman Solomon you're talking about.
Yeah, David Solomon, CEO of Goldman Sachs, he came out and said, look, in April, remember April's not that long ago. In April, as recently as April, we institutionally, Goldman, believed there was going to be 2 rate cuts. And we were kind of handicapping them at the September meeting and then a later meeting. Because remember, they don't do it anytime they want. They do it when they meet, which is every so many weeks. So he comes out and he says that, and he points to weakness in consumer spending. And that came on the heels of what Waller was talking about. He needs to see more good inflation data. Well, the good inflation data is actually bad market data. Let me explain. Target and Walmart come out and says, hey, we're going to be reducing prices because we see the consumer is spending less, so we got to reduce prices. Well, and that was after Walmart had a great quarter and said part of their great quarter was the fact that fast food was having it so bad. McDonald's had a bad quarter, which was actually good for me because I had people coming in buying meals ready to eat out of Walmart. So that was kind of a good news, bad news. Good news if you owned Walmart. Bad news if you're looking at fast food as a category, and bad news if you're looking at, is the consumer really pinched? And the answer to all that was yes. Then Target comes out and says, listen, brace yourselves. We had a rough quarter, and we think it's going to be a rough quarter next time, and we're actually slashing prices. Holy crap. Now they're saying, you might as well just say, we're slashing profits for the second quarter, which is what they said. So the market attacked the Target stock. Now you've got Waller from the Fed, and you've got Solomon saying, hang on, folks, it's not really deflation
Rob,
here.
is there actually a video of Solomon saying something? Because with the article you went to, I saw a video there with his face at the top. So what? Can you play this clip to see if he's saying? Oh, it's a long clip. Got it. Yeah, we don't have time to watch the whole thing. But so
he's saying we shouldn't expect cuts because this inflation data will be good, but there's so many other things going on in the economy around the pinched consumer. He says, I don't see the rate cuts coming down because we actually, in the midst of this, still have inflation risk, and inflation is hanging at 3.7.
For Solomon to say that, Dan, what do you think about this? What do you think about what Solomon said?
Well, he's not wrong. I mean, if you look at the PPI, what the producers are paying for basically wholesale to get stuff in the door, that hasn't ebbed at all. So eventually those costs are going to have to be passed on to consumers. I mean, where the corporations get their money? Consumers. I mean, unless you're not, if you don't have billions in government contracts. But here's the issue politically, why this is such a big deal. And, let's be fair here. Republicans have pushed for loose Fed policy, too. I mean, it's not just Democrats because they like it. I mean, obviously, if money...
For sure.
Everything has a cost, right?
Yes.
The bagel cost. What's the cost of money? The interest rate. Money has a cost, too. So you want money to be cheaper. You want it flowing through the economy.
And it's great in an election year to say, I did it.
It's fantastic. And then look, you'll get, home, they want the mortgage. I mean, obviously the home industry is very interest rate sensitive. But here's the issue Biden's going to have for the election. One, folks, it's too late. It doesn't, and I've warned everyone, even if Trump wins, this is not going to turn around overnight. A lot of this money hasn't even been spent yet. The Inflation Production Act, which it's obviously, I get it, but I call it that because it did. But here's the thing about inflation, and this is where I think Biden and his team are constantly gaslighting people. You guys are very smart in economic front. All they're talking about coming down is the rate of change, not the price. Those are not the same thing.
Correct.
Prices have not come down at all. So let's just be clear, right? You get a price, whatever. This phone costs $100. It doesn't matter. Inflation, say, hits 10%. So say it hits $110. Oh, and then it's 3%. Okay, so it's 111.3. The price never came down from 100. Yeah. So Biden's running on this whole thing like inflation's coming down. And again, people out there who aren't economists, they're not stupid, but they're not economists. They're like, yeah, but I'm still paying $300 for groceries. Like, what are you talking about? And it makes him look like a phony. Again, the soundbite is terrible. Talking about derivatives and the rate of change of the rate of change is not something the average everyday voter is going to sit there and be like, all they want to know is, hey, man, is the Fiji water cheaper or not, bro? Like, it's not. Like, this is a dead end for him.
It's crazy you're saying this. So yesterday, we're in Maine, and we don't go to Maine too often for the hell of it. We go to Maine for one guy. Yeah. And there's a guy that lives in Maine. And we did a podcast together, which is being released today. This guy's name is Tucker Carlson.
Brand new on the podcast scene.
Yeah,
he's a new guy.
I'll be watching now. I don't have time to watch a lot of podcasts. I'll be watching now.
But while we're there, we're staying at this Airbnb. They shouldn't have called it Airbnb. It was a shack. That's not a house. But whatever.
Mosquito hut.
I mean, it is what it is. So, anyways, Jennifer and Sam go to 7-Eleven to buy some stuff for us to make breakfast in the morning. They come back. We're in the car going to Tucker's house. And Jen and Sam are like, how much money do you think we spent at 7-Eleven? We're like, $72. More. You know that game that you play? $110 more.
At a 7-Eleven.
At a 7-Eleven.
Remember when we were kids? If you spent $100 at 7-Eleven, you buy the whole store. You get the Slurpee machine.
With the Indian guy.
The Indian guy comes too. The ice chest gets delivered. You bring up that Shelby Raptor you have. You pull the ice chest right in front. Say at $100 7-Eleven.
They spent $330. I'm like, aren't you joking?
Dan, eggs, beef jerky, water, and like protein, bro.
Right? Orange juice.
So, but by the way, what you're saying is very important because one can watch this and they say, here we go again. I'm not a numbers guy, man. I don't know what the hell is CPI, CPCTC, and all this. I don't know any of this stuff. But what I do know is when I go, Kroger's or Albertsons or, Publix or whatever I go to, we used to only spend $300 a week for the entire family. Now it's $410. That's insane.
Brother, have you DoorDash lately? Like, we have, I am a Mr. Fufu guy. Folks, I grew up as, like, poor middle class as anyone. But, things worked out great thanks to the folks out there and, some risks and some investments. So, we used to do a lot of DoorDash. Right now, like, I will cook one. This lady comes by and drops food off. But I was doing, like, DoorDash and delivery stuff. So I hadn't done it in a while, and I honestly don't even look at the price. My wife handles a credit card, so I don't see anything. She's, like, the business manager and everything. So this is the craziest story. We have all these Amex points and stuff we had, and we just want to get rid of the accounts, so we're like spending. So because we don't, like to book hotels, she goes, I'm going to get them in like DoorDash credits or something. There were like $10,000 in DoorDash credits. It was a lot. She's like, this should be good. That lasted, I'm not even kidding, like 6 weeks and we were done. I was like, what the hell did we just buy? And brother, I swear, I don't eat fancy stuff. We were talking about one of your guys. I like steak and like, I don't even like fancy fish or anything. That's it. I eat like chicken. I'm not out there eating foie gras. I couldn't believe it. It was like 6 weeks. What the hell did we just buy?
That's the part where if the American families feel that. By the way, I think if you ask them, say Trump gets elected in 2025, say, 2024, and he's a president in 2025.